Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Anthony Del Toro, John Williams, Tracy Bogert, the Bear County chairman of the MAGA Republicans and QAnon Marjorie Taylor Greene devotees, Luisa Alanis, Jason Paniagua, Steve Duraco, the original rock. Duel. It is a Taco Tuesday, which is beautiful. You have one mission today. Well, maybe you have multiple missions, but your prime directive is to procure tacos and then consume, ingest, become one with such tacos. Welcome in. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Lots going on in the world of sports, NBA playoffs, NFL football, Major League Baseball, college sports. We are all over it. Coaching changes. Girl Scout cookies not selling. Lots going on. Lots we will cover. Dave Ayler is your soundscape stylist. We will meet him very, very shortly. But first and foremost, Shannon Salty Sweeney, how are you this morning?
I'm doing well. I think you mentioned it, the Girl Scout cookie thing. That needs to be investigated.
God.
I mean, I think I have a pretty good reason as to why they still have boxes.
Okay.
They charge an arm and a leg for them now.
Yeah.
Every year, my mom, when I was a Girl Scout, they were, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. It's called inflation. But they're also putting less cookies in there.
Whoa. I didn't know that. Less cookies per box.
Yeah.
That's crap.
Depending on what kind of cookie you're getting. But yeah, that's more money, less cookies. That's I'm not great at math, but that to me does not add up.
Well, and if you're wondering about that story, we'll just go ahead and tell you what it is. But first it was the great pandemic of 2020 that continues to this day. And now in 2021, if you just want another sign of the apocalypse, the Girl Scouts were unable to sell all of their cookies this year. They have returned 15 million unsold boxes of Girl Scout cookies. Typically, in a typical year, Girl Scouts will sell 200 million boxes of cookies. My God. But lots unsold, including, and the number is said to be 15 million boxes of unsold Girl Scout cookies being returned. Now, the good news there, they're considering distributing these cookies to homeless people, perhaps to the troops serving overseas. But I did not realize, Shannon, that there were less cookies per box. Not only are you jacking up the prices, Girl Scouts, but there are less cookies. That was news to me.
Yeah, and I'm a Thin Mint, and I like I don't know their official name, but the peanut butter patty.
Oh, yeah, Thin Mints. That's like the Fresca salsa at Chewy's. Yeah. That's like crack. I eat one, maybe two sleeves at a time.
Good. I still have a box in my freezer from this season, but I want to know the breakdown of cookies they have left over, because I know a lot of people really love those caramel delights. I hate coconut. So I would definitely, if there's a lot of me's out there, I can see that one being an issue.
Wow. See, I like coconut. I know some people hate it, and now I know that you hate it, but yeah. There's no Girl Scout cookie I don't like. Granted, Thin Mints are number one for me. I love the Thin Mints, but you put a box of Girl Scout cookies in front of me, and I'm there. I'm there for the duration. If left to my own devices, I'll eat the whole damn box. I don't care. I'm just they're so good.
Yeah. Maybe they should give. I know they're gonna give some away, which is great. But maybe if they want to make some of their money back, they put them in these NBA arenas.
Ooh.
Because all of these series are now tied 2-2, so we're guaranteed more basketball than I think we originally thought we were going to get in this round. And I bet NBA fans are big fans of a Girl Scout cookie. I could eat a sleeve of Thin Mints through a half of a game.
God, yes. Well, and you mentioned the NBA last night, Shannon. One, I believe, a big surprise. Another, not necessarily a surprise, kind of an eye-opener. your early game last night, the Atlanta Hawks coming from 18 down, which is one of their largest comebacks in many, many years. I heard them say it last night, and I forgot to write it down, but it's been many, many, many years since the Hawks came back from 18 down. They beat the Philadelphia 76ers 103-100. That game was in Atlanta last night. And as you mentioned, Shannon, that series in the Eastern Conference is tied at 2-2. It'll go back to Philadelphia. And oh, by the way, Joel Embiid with knee issues. His knee was bothering him last night. So your two favorites in each series in the Eastern Conference, injuries being the problem. Tonight, you've got Milwaukee and Brooklyn going at it. They are tied 2-2. And we learned from head coach Steve Nash of the Brooklyn Nets late yesterday that no Kyrie Irving and no James Harden tonight for the Brooklyn Nets. Therefore, and we'll talk about it, a golden opportunity for the Milwaukee Bucks to grab that win on the road at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, take the 3-2 lead, bring the series back to Milwaukee with an opportunity to shock the world. I was thinking sweep. I think most of the basketball world was thinking sweep when Brooklyn had its way with Milwaukee in games 1 and 2, took the 2-0 lead. We'll get into that. That game's 7:30 tonight on TNT. And the other game last night, Shannon, wasn't a shocker, but God, it did not go the way I wanted it to go. And I think a lot of people, I think you expressed yesterday, you expected Utah to win game number 4 between the Clippers and the Jazz. Didn't go that way. Clippers at home last night at Staples Center beat the Utah Jazz 118-104. Both Kawhi Leonard, my buddy, and Paul George, they each score 31 points. So they combined for 62. Kawhi, 31.7 rebounds. Paul George, 31 points and 9 rebounds. And Shannon, as I mentioned about Kawhi, and I think it's this way about the LA Clippers, they're like the Terminator. It was this way in the Dallas series. Dallas was up 2-0. All right, come on. Conventional wisdom says Clippers aren't going to win 4 out of 5. Dallas was up 3-2. Conventional wisdom said, all right, Mavericks just have to win one darn game, either at home or on the road, and Clippers would not die. They won that game in 7. This series against the Utah Jazz starting to look a whole lot like the Dallas Mavericks comeback series for the Clippers.
It's interesting for a season that was played for the most part without fans. And once fans were in attendance, it was very few fans. So the idea of home court advantage was a bit out the window. And now, round 2 of the playoffs, it is everyone's only winning on their home court. So by that, I'd give everyone home court advantage and say that those teams are going to move on with the way we've seen it go right now. I mean, it's pretty spectacular to think that we've played all these games, and so far in this round, people have only won on their home court.
It's a little crazy. And in that Eastern Conference now, Shannon, everybody tied 2-2. In these Eastern Conference semifinals, which leads us to today's poll question.
Yes, sir. Asking, now that both Eastern Conference semifinals are tied at 2-2, which teams come out of the East which team comes out of the East and goes to the NBA Finals? Currently leading the way with all of the votes so far, the Brooklyn Nets.
Brooklyn Nets. Well, that's
the idea of to win. You got to beat the man to be the man.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have to, all you have to do is beat the man without Kyrie Irving and without James Harden, at least tonight.
It sounds simple, except for that guy, Kevin Durant, is still there.
He is arguably, LeBron is a lot older now. You could make the case when healthy, and he seems to be healthy right now. Kevin Durant at this moment might be the best player in the NBA. Certainly something to consider, and we will talk a lot about those games. Let's introduce our Soundscape stylist today. Wow, that's a big Adidas logo. Kind of cool. I'm digging the lines through the whole Adidas logo. Who was it, Shannon, who left Adidas? Somebody just left Adidas for
Dak
Prescott. Yes.
Oh, it makes it an even better reason to wear it now.
Oh.
What are you,
I'm still
anti-Dak?
seeing
I'm
Adidas.
anti-cowboy. Everything.
Oh, man. That's right.
I'm a Steelers fan.
You're a Steelers fan. See, you
Mm,
would think,
Bora.
Dave Ayler.
I go with the winners,
Well, there you go. You would think as a
Bandwagon.
Steelers fan.
6.
Yeah, I know, but see, you would think you would be above cowboy hatred.
No.
You would think, you would be. It would be like, hey, man, we're the Steelers. We don't have to worry about it.
No, it's fun. Always fun to hate the Cowboys, even if the Steelers are playing bad.
I will have you know, in the most recent Cowboys-Steelers Super Bowl, Cowboys won that Super Bowl. I'm just saying. Neil O'Donnell, thank you for the 2 gifts to ensure the Cowboys' victory in what was that, Super Bowl 30, I think?
It's something like that, yeah.
God.
Both Chris and I are wearing Cowboy shirts
Woo!
today. But
Yes,
you can't
very
see
nice.
mine 'cause it's under a Texas hoodie.
Woo!
But
Woo, woo.
how dare you, Dave?
It's
On a Tuesday, no less. On a Tuesday.
It's every day is a good day to hate the Cowboys.
No.
7 days a week.
Now, I do have
8
to
days
call
a
you.
week.
I do have
Like
to call you
Bill
out
said.
for being a bandwagon fan, Dave Ayler.
How's that a bandwagon fan?
Because as a kid, you grew up in St. Louis.
Right.
You had a team. It was called the St. Louis Cardinals. Before they moved to Arizona, that was your team. But no, you jumped on the Pittsburgh Steeler bandwagon.
Like, you don't live in Dallas and you like the Cowboys.
We're in Texas.
San Antonio didn't have an NFL team. So I chose the Cowboys because they were in the great state of Texas.
And St. Louis had a really bad team with really bad ownership, so I chose a good
You
team.
jumped on the bandwagon. Bandwagon fan.
Hey,
Dave.
I was been with them since 1978, even when they were bad in the 80s.
They were not bad in 1978. They were
No,
they
they
were
were
coming
good.
off
In
a
the
whole
80s, they were
bunch of
bad.
wins in the 70s.
In the 80s, they were bad.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't switch to the 49ers in the 80s.
No.
Oh, now I'm going to be a Joe Montana
No,
fan.
no,
They're
I was
winning
probably
now.
secretly a
Yeah.
Cowboys fan in the 90s.
No, you can't be a Cowboys fan. Yuck.
Oh, you were on the wrong show, sir.
You are, sir, and you live in Texas. That's like you live in the great state of Texas, and you're not a Cowboys fan.
I'll
That's
be,
just
I'll be a Houston Texans fan.
Are you
before
like
Cowboys.
Kyler Murray, who says that they were bleep, and then we go to the internet and we're going to find a picture of you in a Cowboys jersey because
Won't
that happened
find it.
with Kyler Murray?
Won't find one at all. Even when people come into my house, they look around my house. They go, "Wow, you have a lot of autographed stuff. Nothing from the Cowboys." I go, "That's not. There's a reason for that."
Because it's really expensive.
No, no, because nobody wants it. I don't want that stick in my
Super
house.
items and goods.
I got to pay the mortgage.
now. You mentioned Kyler Murray, Shannon. I did see something about Kyler Murray dogging the Cowboys. What give us the background on that?
Well, he's from the great state of Texas, and so he was asked if he was ever a Cowboys fan growing up. No, because they were ass. And he was born in 1997, so
All right.
you know, like me, who was alive at that time, like you weren't watching or paying attention or had the capabilities to remember anything that was going on at that time. So I get that, but I mean, you are born in 1997, so you grew up in the age of the internet. You should know that that picture of you in a Cowboys jersey is out there, and that people found it immediately.
Good liar,
So-
Kyler Murray.
I mean, say something to be hot and be now and be in, but you know, to be able to back it up and not have that be thrown at you.
And typical Oklahoma Sooner. And 2 strikes against Kyler
Anything
Murray.
I can say to piss off Texas,
Yeah.
they'll do it.
2 things. Number one, and I've said this before, Shannon, if you grew up in Texas and you're a great athlete and you go play for Oklahoma,
Stay there.
Exactly. Stay there. And if Governor Greg Abbott would like my vote when he runs for re-election, possibly against Matthew McConaughey, any athlete who goes to Oklahoma to play football or whatever sport, you should revoke your Texas citizenship. Yes, I agree, Shannon. Stay there. Don't come back. B, we should officially renounce you. We renounce you. We wash our hands and our feet of you,
Yeah.
Kyler Murray, dirtbag.
Yeah. What's the opposite of Coronation Day? Whatever that is.
Renunciation Day. I have no idea. But that sounds good. Renunciation. Yeah, we should have a renunciation day where we as a state,
Yeah,
we go down the list and we renounce you.
Just one event each year.
Kyler Murray. So double pox on you. Triple. Number one, you're denying the Dallas Cowboys. You're slamming the Cowboys. Two, we got a photo of you in a Cowboys jersey, so you're a liar. You're a lying piece of crap, Kyler Murray. And three, you grew up in the great state of Texas. You had an opportunity to go play for the Longhorns if you really worked at it. And short of that, you could have gone to the Aggies, well, whatever, or Texas Tech, or the Houston Cougars, or SMU.
He was with A&M for a hot minute.
Okay, there you go. All right, at least he probably denies that now. No, I wasn't. I hate A&M. We got photos. Kyler Murray.
There's a story about how he was like kind of named after that Kyle guy, I think.
I hope the Cowboys play.
He's got a lot of issues that I think need to be worked out.
Totally agree.
Inside.
I hope the Cowboys play the Cardinals this year. Don't have the schedule in front of me. I've looked at it, but I haven't memorized it. And I hope the new, fully revamped Dan Quinn defense punishes dirtbag scumbag, no longer a Texan, Kyler Murray.
So we play in preseason.
Okay.
August 13th.
Woo.
And then it looks like January 2nd of 22. So
My goodness.
there you go.
Twice. Once in preseason.
Yep.
He probably won't play in
Our
preseason.
preseason
But...
one, just for us, 9 p.m. start.
Okay. What do you have? Because if it's the fourth preseason game, nobody plays. No starters play in the fourth preseason.
August 13th, I want to say.
That's early.
Probably the first one.
Okay. Well, okay. Good. So we got a chance to take a few shots at Kyler Murray. All right. Coming up, Clint Proctor on Facebook says Baker Mayfield 2. Exactly. Baker Mayfield. You're no longer a Texan. We have renounced your citizenship. You did it to yourself, Baker Mayfield. All right. Coming up, the high five play of the day. I'll actually get to it on time, I do believe. By the way, we did it yesterday. In fact, we broke the news to you just after 8 a.m. yesterday that Eric Clapton was coming to the Frank Irwin Center in September. I think it's September 15th. We're giving away tickets again today. In fact, we'll do that in the 8 o'clock hour again. Why not? We'll do it all week. Your chance to win Eric Clapton tickets. How cool is that? Dave Ayler is your soundscape stylist. Tanner Carlson will talk Cowboys and more with us just after 8 o'clock, in fact. Shannon Salty Sweeney. She is very salty this morning. If you don't believe me, wait for the Salty Shakedown in about an hour. I'm Chris. Thanks for hanging out with us. We got a lot going on between now and 9 o'clock on the Chris Duel Show. All right. Do I want coffee? I think I do. Brian Mendoza. That's so loud. Beth Settle. Good morning, Beth. Luisa Alanis. Brian, I won't even read that, Brian. We love you, but I'm not going to read it. About the 626. And by the way, that's an Oklahoma slam. You don't get to turn that slam on Texas. And by the way, Brian, keep it up and we will renounce your Texas citizenship like Kyler Murray and Baker Mayfield. John Williams, Kyler Murray's father was the quarterback at A&M 83 to 86. Well, makes it all the more egregious. John Williams, Cody Webb, good morning. Luisa Alanis, Jason Paniagua, Clint Proctor, Anthony Del Toro, Hector Gomez, Beth Settle, Tracy Bogert, Steve Duraco, the original Rock. Everybody on Facebook Live, welcome. Yeah, I did. Okay, there's that. Let me see this. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I'm okay with it since we're giving away tickets. It's a chance for us to remind and preview that they're coming in the 8 o'clock. Okay. I'm going to go grab some coffee. I had to fill in for Mike Taylor yesterday, so I didn't get my nap. So I'm a little extra cranky and punchy today. Just so you know. There it is, ladies and gentlemen, back by popular demand. The "we'll be right back" slide. No, and now it's gone. Yeah. Tracy, we will probably talk about that. And God, I hope they change that rule because James Harden has abused that rule. Let's get a guy to jump, and then let's jump into him and collide with him and get 3 free throws. All right, let's see. Do I have time? I've got to edit 2 spots. Let's see here. One of them is way too long. I don't know how I'm going to get it down to 60 seconds. Woo! Darn it, that's too long. All right. Is there anything I can cut? Hi, Chris here. I just got back from my follow-up appointment at the sinus and snoring specialist. Just last month, I had sinuplasty. It's a non-surgical procedure. Helps eliminate recurring sinus infections, sinus headaches, reduces congestion and snoring. It's a 15-year procedure. It is pain-free, and I gotta tell you, it is life-changing. Listen to this. That is me breathing clearly. I had a deviated septum. One of my nasal passages, I was only getting 20% oxygen. I breathe great. 2 words. Life-changing. I cannot recommend this to you highly enough. I'm also wait. Procedure. It is pain-free, and I gotta tell you, it is life-changing. Listen to this. That is me breathing clearly. I had a deviated septum. One of my nasal passages, I was only getting 20% oxygen. I breathe great. 2 words. Life-changing. I cannot recommend this to you highly enough. Breathe great. 2 words. Life-changing. I cannot recommend this to you. 2 words. Life-changing. I can. Shoot. Okay. Little Eric Clapton and Cream for you, courtesy of Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist and bandwagon Pittsburgh Steelers fan. As a young man in St. Louis, Missouri, he chose not to be a St. Louis Cardinals fan. He turned his back on Eric Coryell, Jim Hart, Terry Metcalf, Jackie Smith, Roger Worley, Dan Deerdorf, Conrad Dobler. Conrad Dobler was dirty offensive lineman for one of the original dirty players in the NFL.
He used to bite people.
Yep. Conrad Dobler. What a great name that is for a bad guy in the NFL. Conrad Dobler. Can't believe I remember that guy's name. Thank you, Dave. Sorry to give you a hard time. I got all riled.
I'm used to it around the show.
I got all riled up by Kyler Murray blaspheming the Dallas Cowboys after leaving the state of Texas to go play for some dirtbag north of the Texas border team that I'm sick and tired of, the Oklahoma Sooners. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Thanks for being with us. The Eric Clapton music for a reason. Eric Clapton coming to the Frank Irwin Center September 15th. We got tickets. It was just announced yesterday. In fact, we made the announcement seconds after it became official at 8 o'clock yesterday morning. We right away gave away tickets. So we'll give away tickets today. In fact, we'll go ahead and tell you. We'll give away the tickets in the first half hour of the 8 o'clock hour. So be listening then. Your chance to win tickets. And we'll do that all week, which is tremendous. Speaking of the 8 o'clock hour, Tanner Carlson going to join us then. Tanner talks football and more with us. Big Dallas Cowboys fan. He's got his own sound effect, which is very, very nice. So Shannon Salty Sweeney, her Salty Shakedown, less than an hour away now as we talk all things NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball, college sports, and more, including we like to do this, and we do this every morning at this time, except for yesterday when I nearly forgot. So we did it at like 5 till 7 yesterday. Shannon, you thought I was punchy yesterday. I found out shortly after the show yesterday. Mike Taylor had an emergency layover in Phoenix. So, Chris, what are you doing this afternoon? Nothing. Okay, hey, well, why don't you come in for Mike Taylor? Sure.
I heard.
No nap
on the show, and there you were.
Yeah,
I know that voice.
And
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little upset that I was not invited. Also,
well, I thought about
sitting
that.
At home, then basically still having a conversation with you. Just
Yeah,
you can't hear me because I'm at home.
I had that thought, and I thought, like me, Shannon worked the morning show. See, then my car had an issue, so I took it to R&R Auto Glass in San Antonio. Great friends of the show. They fixed my issue with a mirror in less than 30 minutes. Just boom, done. Everything's good. So shout out to supporters of the show in San Antonio, R&R Auto Glass. So I did not get my nap, and if I don't get my nap, Shannon, I'm extra cranky.
Wait a minute, because like I said, I listened, and Mike called in the second segment yesterday at 4:30.
Yep.
And he asked to make sure that you got your nap. And you
told
him you did.
That was me being polite. That was me not wanting to say, Mike Taylor, you screwed up my entire day.
Wow.
I did not get a nap.
You're weak even.
It's called tact. It's called social grace. Wow. It's called politeness to somebody.
Got it on record now.
Didn't want to tell Mike Taylor he ruined my day. Didn't ruin my day. It was nice to be in for Mike Taylor. I even thought
to come in for him because the reason for him not being available to be on air was I can't imagine that's not very pleasant.
No, he has a son who got very sick on a flight, and they were coming to San Antonio, I think from Portland, Oregon, and the flight I think either stopped or it had to stop in Phoenix because Mike's son. How can I put this gently? He had kind of a stomach virus, and things were ejecting from his son's. And again, I don't want to get too graphic, but his son had issues on the flight. God love him, but he's good now, so he's much better.
Hey, Chris, and since you told Taylor you didn't get a nap.
I told Taylor I did get a nap.
Okay.
In the moment, I didn't want to say no, I didn't. I don't want to bitch and complain on his show. I'll bitch and complain on this show.
I see, because I think you're the Kyler Murray of Ticket 760 now.
Wow. What?
That is not.
Did I blaspheme the Dallas Cowboys? Did I go to Oklahoma?
No, because
on his own show?
No, because you said you got a nap, and you didn't get a nap.
True.
That's not the same.
That's like saying you're a Cowboys fan, or never a Cowboys fan, but you're caught wearing a T-shirt.
I didn't want Mike to feel bad.
I think you're the Kyler Murray.
I didn't want him to feel bad. He said, "You got a nap, didn't you?" I go, "Yeah, I got a nap." So I didn't want
you call him out and say, "No, I didn't get a nap, but I came in anyway to your show because that's how dedicated I am."
Well, but So Shannon, the point is this: I thought, well, maybe I should grab Shannon and see if she wants to do the show or an hour or a segment. And then I thought, she's probably like me. She feels she's done for the day. She got up hours before the crack of dawn. She probably needs a nap. So in the future, if I know that you want to do that, if it ever comes up again.
Yeah. I mean, I typically like advance notice because I also don't live anywhere near the station, and that Austin traffic is brutal.
Woo.
So
well,
I do need, but because like you, I take naps, and I typically have one after lunch, and then I put on my PJs to take a nap, and then I'm typically just in my PJs the rest of the day.
There you go.
I think I'm in PJs more often these days than regular clothes.
I think most of us were in PJs for the whole year 2020, pretty much. Yeah, I hate it now when I gotta like go somewhere and wear nice clothes. It's like I haven't worn nice clothes since 2019, and that's right, and they don't fit. They don't fit. Mine don't. All right. Almost did what I did yesterday, which is wait way too long for our high five play of the day. There's that music. High five, not just the perfect name for this segment when we give somebody a high five who deserves it, but a great place to hang out, have adult beverages, play games, throw axes, laser tag. In fact, Shannon has been to High Five, 2 locations in the Austin area many, many times, so nobody can speak better about High Five from experience than Shannon.
And on Tuesdays, you got $2 tacos at High Five, as well as $2 games of laser tag out at that Lakeway location. Don't forget happy hour Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m. and all day on Wednesday. We'll get into that a little more tomorrow. On today's High Five, Chris, it's going to Christian Eriksen.
Woo!
You sent me this story this morning. Reports are he is in a good mood. Doctors are still working to find the cause of his collapse during this past weekend's match. That was very unfortunate, but again, I got to give high fives to all of his teammates and those on the field with him. But it's great to know that he's in good spirits, that at this point they're just working to find the cause of the collapse. But high five to him, because to be in a good mood after that, I don't know. I think I'd be stuck in it for quite some time.
And very supportive of his team, getting on a FaceTime with his team, telling them go out there and win. Of course, he's with Denmark. It's the Euro, and they're calling it the the Euro 2020 tournament. I don't know why they don't call it. Why do they call it the 2020? Because they didn't have it in 2020?
Some of like the Olympics are still the Tokyo Olympics.
Ooh, okay.
It's probably more due to the amount of cash that they've already invested in all of the graphics and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Already lost money, right? So just why lose more? Just keep it the same.
Speaking of the Mike Taylor show, I was talking to Sam Freese, who does that show with Mike yesterday. Shannon, you might have heard. He was watching that Denmark match live. He was like, a lot of us heard about it. Some people posted on Twitter. You said that you saw things on Twitter that you'd rather not have seen before Twitter took a lot of it down. This man collapsing, Christian Eriksen. But my God, to be watching it live and realizing in real time that this could go very badly.
Yeah. And I mean, these events that are happening, the Euro 2020s over obviously in Europe, and then right now the Copa America, I mean, they are big time tournaments. They're not the World Cup, they're not the Olympics, but they are pretty much next in line. And for a guy like him, I buy it. He's a soccer guy, and so football. I buy that. And I guess, I mean, watching it live, I'm sure you're just stunned and like what it kind of was like in the NCAA tournament this year. Early on in one of the games, I think it was like Elite 8 maybe. A referee just collapsed.
That's right. I did see that one live. Yeah.
Yeah. That was, oh my God, what is happening?
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I would imagine it would be a reaction similar to what I had for that.
Well, and I'm not a big soccer guy, as you know, Shannon, certainly not international soccer. I'm totally down with Austin FC. And by the way, the 19th is getting closer. We're just 4 days away. Their big home opener at Q2 Stadium. I'm sure we'll talk about that. If not today, and maybe today, but certainly this week as we ramp up toward the weekend. But I'm not that big of an international soccer fan. But apparently this guy who collapsed and could have died, and he was in cardiac arrest, and they are saying the people who were doing the chest compression and tending to him on the pitch, that he was gone for a while. There was no heart activity for a while. It was looking really, really scary. But Christian Eriksen, apparently the best player on that Denmark team. I mean, imagine in any sport, imagine your favorite team, whatever it is, college or pro or on any level. And I mean, even if he wasn't, the human tragedy that nearly unfolded is unthinkable.
Yep.
But I mean, imagine in like a playoff game or a Super Bowl, Tom Brady going down like this. My God, it's just hard to wrap your head around.
I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge, who announced his retirement, he would still be playing. I mean, he was part of the Brooklyn Nets. He would still be in it, and he decided for, his health, he didn't want to have a moment like that, and he felt like he was closer to that, thanks to some issues he had out in a game in LA. So he decided that it was time for him to retire. I hope this isn't the same thing for Christian, that he can come back and play soccer once they figure out whatever it was that caused his cardiac arrest. But yeah, it's scary.
You bring up LaMarcus Aldridge, and that's a great point. And LaMarcus, had an irregular heart rhythm apparently during one of the games this year. I think after he had left the Spurs in that buyout and went to the Brooklyn Nets, he apparently had a scare that he then had doctors check out his heart. He had this issue before, but it seemed to be in check. But I was thinking about LaMarcus yesterday, Shannon, when we heard from Brooklyn Nets head coach Steve Nash that Kyrie Irving with that ankle and James Harden with his lingering injury, both of them out of the lineup tonight as Brooklyn hosts the Milwaukee Bucks in Game 5. That series tied 2-2. Imagine if they had a fully healthy LaMarcus Aldridge. Granted, he's not Kyrie or James Harden, but LaMarcus, I believe, a 7-time All-Star. I'll have to look that up. A multi-time NBA All-Star. And you would have had 2 Texas alums. You would have had Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant could use a healthy LaMarcus Aldridge tonight. That would have been kind of cool. The 2 Texas guys making a stand in Brooklyn tonight.
Yeah, Kevin Durant will need any healthy guy that can contribute. I mean, even if it's Blake Griffin, he's not much of a scorer, but he is a great rebounder these days. Because if Chris Middleton is going to keep stepping up the way he has so far through this series, Kevin Durant needs that guy on his side. And don't know who that's going to be tonight.
Yeah, somebody needs, and you mentioned maybe it is Blake Griffin, and we've talked a lot about Milwaukee, and we've talked about Coach Mike Budenholzer, how when it was 2-0, God, it sure looked like Brooklyn was going to sweep this series or had a great opportunity to sweep this series. I really think tonight, Shannon, the path to victory in this series for the Milwaukee Bucks, which was unthinkable before the weekend when Milwaukee took the 2 games at home at the Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee. Now with Kyrie Irving and James Harden out, if they can get this win tonight on the road at Barclays Center, they bring it back to Milwaukee for a Game 6 in a couple of nights. I think this is it. Now, if Brooklyn wins this game tonight without Kyrie and James Harden, they go up 3-2. They play with house money in a Game 6 at Milwaukee. I don't see Milwaukee coming back, winning 2 in a row, including a 7th game on the road, which is hard to do in the NBA. Big win, big game tonight for both teams. Somebody's going to get a big advantage in this series tonight.
Well, and for those that are of the betting kind, Milwaukee currently favored at 4.5.
Wow.
Opened at 2, so I'm assuming after Kyrie was officially ruled out that that line moved to 4.5, but Bucks favored in Brooklyn. That's pretty big.
That is big. Well, and don't forget, though, I remember the line last night. Philly was favored by 5 in Atlanta last night. Didn't go that way. Atlanta beat Philly last night, 103-100. But, man, who would have thought after the first 2 games that Milwaukee would return to Game 5 in Brooklyn and be a favorite? Wow. Things can change quickly in sports, in this case, in the NBA. Coming up, we will talk some NFL football. We'll take the Becky Hammon possible head coaching gig. There's a little activity on that. We'll talk about that and a whole lot more. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney. I'm Chris. It's the Chris Duel Show. All right. I am back to editing a spot. Don't do that to me. This computer occasionally wigs out, and that ain't good. Let's do this. And it is still wigging out on me. God, that drives me crazy. Stop that. Okay, file. Robert, I see you said you purchased L.A. Woman by the Doors. And Foamfoot 420 says, great Doors album. Yeah, that is regarded by many as the greatest Doors album and one of the greatest albums of all time. So that's such a great tune. It goes through so many movements. LA Woman, including Mr. Mojo Rising. It's very cool. It's one of my favorites. Here we come.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is a Taco Tuesday. It is June 15th, the Ides of June, essentially the midpoint of June. After today, we'll be closer to July than we were to the month of May. Unbelievable. Welcome in. Thanks for being here. It is the Chris Duel Show, along with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Dave Ayler is your soundscape stylist. We got a lot to talk about in the world of sports. We've talked a lot of NBA playoffs. We'll talk more NBA playoffs. We'll talk some College World Series as the final teams have punched their tickets to the College World Series. And now, Shannon, with Arkansas having been eliminated, you look at the national top seeds, the top surviving seed in the College World Series, and for the Longhorns in Omaha, they will get underway this weekend. In fact, Mississippi State just disposed of Notre Dame. So on the bracket, which I have in my hot little hand, I'm showing it to you on Facebook Live. We stream live video on Ticket 760 and AM 1300, the Zone's Facebook pages, with links to that video on YouTube, Twitch, and elsewhere. It will begin for the Longhorn, Shannon, with Texas versus Mississippi State. Who do you think Dak Prescott's going to be pulling for?
I'm sure he's going to be pulling for his Bulldogs. Texas fans know too well that Texas started the season 0-3. That very first loss being at the hands of those Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Ooh.
So they will be looking for some revenge. It's definitely the game they would prefer to win. If they were to win and lose one, this is the scenario that they want to be in. So it's going to be a great game. I'm disappointed that I have to wait till Sunday to watch this game.
It's a long way out. Yeah.
It feels so long. I was hoping for it the latest Saturday. Now I've got to wait till Sunday, but super excited for that matchup. The Horns have come a long way from that 0-3 start, and they knew going in that they were facing the top teams of the SEC, that was going to be a challenge, and it certainly was. And they got better quick and fast, and they've shown it throughout the season. They're peaking at the right time, as you like to do, as is ideal. So it should be a fantastic matchup.
Yeah, Texas, as I mentioned, the top national seeds in the top 16 coming into the super regional play. Arkansas was number 1, but they've been defeated and ousted. Texas number 2. Now, Mississippi State was number 7. So they are a formidable opponent. As you mentioned, Shannon, they beat Texas at the beginning of the year. Texas now 47-15 overall with the win yesterday over Notre Dame. Mississippi State now 44-15. So very similar records, 47-15 for Texas, 44-15 for Mississippi State. But as you mentioned, I mean, here we are on Taco Tuesday. We got to wait all the way until Sunday for that first game between those two teams in Omaha.
Yeah. I mean, I've got tomorrow, we've got U.S. Women's National Team playing in Austin. Saturday, we've got Austin FC playing in Austin. So
wow.
I guess it's okay that it's on Sunday, because I feel like Saturday, With everything going on, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a watch party. So if you weren't able to get tickets to the game, come hang out with me. It's gonna make for a long day on Saturday. So I guess in all it's best, but I'm just impatient, and I don't know. Maybe Friday would have been nice.
So that watch party is at High Five?
I believe it is.
Okay.
I'm waiting for exact confirmation on everything, but yes.
When you have absolute confirmation, let us know. We'll certainly pimp that watch party right here as we should. Wow, you're so right for the Austin area, and certainly, for those of us a little outside Austin here in San Antonio as well. It's just such a big weekend. The women's national team, I didn't realize that match was tomorrow at Q2 Stadium in Austin. That's so cool.
They just wrapped up some games in Houston, continuing their unbeaten streak. Should be fun to have them in there. I don't know that they've ever played in Austin. I'm pretty sure they haven't. So this will be a first for them. It was hot out there on Saturday, so I'm not too disappointed that I'm not going. Probably watch at a restaurant or something, maybe even High Five as I frequent there. So but it's exciting to have national team, and again, I think this is their last game until the Olympics. So,
Now, you mentioned the heat, and again, we've got heat advisories for pretty much all of our listening area: Austin, San Antonio, all points in between, north, south, east, and west. I hear the heat index today, even though the temperatures will be in the upper 90s, it'll probably be a heat index of about 105 in parts today. Now, this match for the women's national team, is that an afternoon game? Is it a night game? When is that going to take place
I'm pretty
at
sure
Q2 Stadium?
it's in the evening. And the great thing about
Okay.
Q2 is that every seat is covered.
That
So
helps.
there will be a little bit of shade. Still outside. So hopefully they'll be providing water for people, water areas that people can get water, because I'm sure there'll be pauses in the match for hydration for the players. And again, don't forget to hydrate. It feels early to be this hot all the time.
Man, this is June. We're not even in July and August yet, and we got people dropping from heat issues.
I got home yesterday and let my dog out, and I'm in the backyard for all of 2 minutes, and I'm already sweating.
Gosh.
We're inside people this summer.
Well, and when I walked out the door yesterday, just after 9 in.the.morning here, as soon as I walked out of the building, the oppressive heat just went. It was hot in the morning yesterday, and I guess we're going to get more of the same today. So for everybody, obviously, no matter what you're doing,
Fiesta goers.
Oh my God, yeah, that's coming up on Thursday in San Antonio. Hydrate. And we talked about it before the first time you went in to Q2 Stadium, and you just mentioned it. No, every seat is covered. You've got shade covering every seat. How brilliant of a design innovation. You're going to build a stadium in outdoors in Austin, Texas, where certainly June, July, and August, and probably September, and probably May, and maybe October, it can be quite hot. And I've been in soccer stadiums. I've been in, we've got Toyota Field here in San Antonio, which is a very well-designed stadium, originally orchestrated by Gordon Hartman when he owned the San Antonio Scorpions. Now it's the home of San Antonio FC, but it doesn't have, and I just think it's brilliant for Q2 Stadium to have cover shade for all of the seats in the stadium.
Now, when I was there on over on Saturday for the watch party, the side I was on, I guess would be considered the west side of the stadium.
Yeah.
And so the east side, because it was afternoon, the sun was getting to a couple of those rows just because the way the angle of the sun.
Yeah, late in the day.
Moves throughout the day, but I don't think there's ever a point where you will be in the sun the entire game, no matter where you're sitting.
That's so cool. Very, very cool. So women's national team tomorrow night at Q2 Stadium. Saturday night. Is it the San Jose Earthquakes? I think it is Saturday night.
Is that? I know it's San Jose. I'm not sure if they're.
I think they're the Earthquakes. Of course, I'm not Mr. Soccer, but I think it's. I think I read it's the Earthquakes.
They're pretty high up in the point standing, so it'll be a good match for Austin FC to test that home field advantage.
Going to be very interesting to see. It's one thing, and clearly sounds like it's going to be a packed house. Tickets went flying for Austin FC, and there's a huge waiting list, as you've mentioned many times, Shannon. But it's one thing to fill the place, but it's another thing. And based on what we've seen from fans and fan supporters groups, and these watch parties, even when the team has been on the road to start this season, can the fans be absolutely nuts and loud and really, really, really create a very special and effective home field advantage for for Austin FC?
I think the supporters group is going to get everyone involved in that entire stadium. Just the amount that showed up for the watch party and the drums and the flags and the banners. Gentlemen handed out to me. There's lyric sheets for all of the chants. I'm sure those are available online, so you can rightfully cheer along. I don't think there'll be any shortage of excitement, especially when you throw in the margaritas they've got.
Yes, that is something that
margaritas. That's every stadium should have those.
Yeah, something I do appreciate about soccer fans. They do, long before the match begins in the parking lot, they do tailgate and party quite. They're very dedicated to partying and getting ready for the game.
There was a tailgating sign for the watch party. So my mom was dropping my dad and I off, and she's like, "Wait, tailgating?" I was like, "Yeah, it's still football. It was just
tailgate for the watch party."
Yeah,
that's cool.
It's serious.
Yes,
here in the 512,
and it should be. And it should be. Speaking of serious, I'm kind of liking this. There's a story out there. The NBA competition committee is looking at rule changes to restrict unnatural jump shot motions. And even though some people are citing your boy Luka Doncic for this, and Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks, we've seen James Harden do this and make a living on this and jack up his scoring average on this for many, many, many seasons. Typically outside the 3-point line, James Harden will fake, get the player in the air, and then James Harden will dive into the player, collide with that player, and then just throw the ball up, occasionally getting lucky and hitting a shot, therefore getting a 4-point play out of it, but typically getting 3 shots at the free throw line. And clearly, Shannon, is driven me crazy for years. James Harden is not attempting a shot when he does this.
Right.
That's why they call it an unnatural shot motion. He's trying to get a foul in the act of shooting from 3, which would get him 3 free throws, and he's very good at the free throw line. To me, I just think he has found a way to exploit the rules for his benefit. I think it's gone too far, and I think the NBA is right to look at this. Now, you, as a Dallas Mavericks fan, having Luka Doncic, who, I think a little bit of a lesser extent than James Harden, takes advantage of the current rule, are you going to be sad to see this go and maybe cut into Luka's scoring average a little bit?
I think he's still young enough in the game and in his NBA career that because Harden's been in it for a minute. I mean, that's second nature to him. I think for Luka, that was probably a learned trait after watching Harden, that he can probably adjust. I think it's going to be harder for the NBA to, really define what is a shot and what isn't a shot, right? Because you think of unnatural, so many times we see guys driving the lane, and to hit a layup or a dunk, right, they're contorting their body, they're moving the ball around with their hands to avoid contact. And in this case, we have it where they're purposely attempting to get contact. And you're right, a lot of these aren't shots. They're like an underhanded whatever, just throwing the ball up. Okay, well, that shouldn't be considered a shot. So they're really going to have to define and be strict on what is considered a shot when you are in that jumper area, which is going to be really hard to maintain. And again, it's going to be a judgment call for a lot of those refs, because the one thing you don't want to do is start having to pause the game every time Harden takes a shot and fouls him. No one wants that game to be slowed down. So it's going to be really hard for the NBA. I do think it is a bit of a problem. I mean, no. Harden. Look, one bad egg, and this is what happens.
Yeah.
Everyone follows, and then they're like, wait a minute. No. It's an epidemic.
Well, and I think you used the term rightly, contort. I think as referees discern whether or not, and again, it's called unnatural shot motion. If a player is contorting his body to get that contact, and you've got that player in the, that's what has always seemed a little unfair to me about it is
right.
You fake, you get your defender in the air, and then you go flying at him, and you contort your body, and you, as the shooter, are initiating contact with, let's be honest, a relatively defenseless player. I mean, in a lot of sports, including the National Football League, we go out of our way to defend defenseless players and put rules in to protect them. That's one of the things that has always driven me crazy about this. It's like the guy who's really initiating the contact, and therefore, if you changed the interpretation of the foul, in this case, it was James Harden. Mm-hmm. He'd get a guy in the air, and then he'd go flying into the guy. So clearly the aggressor, using the rule book to his advantage and therefore going to the free throw line, was James Harden. So I think from a referee perspective, I mean, we all know what a jump shot looks like. We all know what a shot looks like. And I think we can recognize when somebody is contorting their body to try to initiate and establish contact. Hopefully NBA officials will be able to do this. But you make a huge point. No, this can't be reviewable when we can't stop the game every time James Harden does this. So the referees need to be empowered, I think, to make this call. When they make the call, it shouldn't be reviewable unless a coach wants to call use one of his timeouts and one of his, limited reviews. But yeah, the time has come. This should have been done 2 or 3 years ago. Apparently they're going to vote on it this summer. If they agree, this will be implemented for next season in the NBA.
It makes me think of, was it in the first series against the Celtics when Kevin Durant got a flagrant because a guy was shooting the 3-ball and Kevin jumped, and because Kevin jumped to block it, he didn't really adjust his shot. He just kind of adjusted what he was doing. He didn't contort his body. He still put up a normal shot, but he did change the way in which he shot the ball, and so Kevin comes down on the guy's foot, and Kevin gets a flagrant.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's no. Maybe a regular foul, but a they need some rule defining, and then the refs are already struggling this year, and now you're going to give this to them. They better be in summer school all summer prior to next season, especially if we're going to add this.
Absolutely. In other NBA news, we've talked a lot about Becky Hammon, the Spurs assistant coach, and her name is being mentioned. And apparently, officially, she will interview for at least 2 openings in the NBA. That would be for the Portland Trail Blazers job and for the Orlando Magic job. And Shannon, a billboard has gone up near the Boston Celtics practice facility. And Boston, just as soon as they got ousted from the playoffs, we learned that Danny Ainge was going to leave and now has left as general manager, and their head coach, Brad Stevens, moves up to the general manager position, opening up the coaching spot. And the Celtics are now interviewing coaches. Now, thus far, they have not interviewed nor apparently sought to interview Becky Hammon, but a billboard has gone up near the Celtics practice facility, and the billboard says, "Hey, Brad," meaning Brad Stevens, who will be one of the big guys making this decision for the Celtics. The billboard says, "Hey, Brad, it's time to shake it up. Hire Kara or Becky." And Shannon, Kara means Kara Lawson, who in the 2019-2020 season, Kara Lawson was a Celtics assistant coach. She is now the head coach for the women's basketball team at Duke. Mm-hmm. So some people wanting the Celtics to hire Kara Lawson or Becky Hammon. And I find it interesting, the billboard did not say hire Becky or Kara, excuse me. It says hire Kara or Becky. So Becky's name listed second in that case.
Now, As a Spurs guy and as a Becky Hammon fan, do you feel some sort of way about her being the first head coach female?
I do. I want her.
Want her to win that race.
I want her to be
Because
the
now
first.
It's a race with other female
Yes.
coming in.
And Shannon, I just assumed, because I feel, Kara Lawson just spent a season with the Celtics as an assistant, the 2019-2020 season, and Becky was around as a Spurs assistant before that. Yeah. I'd have to look it up, but either 2016 or 2017, I think.
But at the same time, we can't start using she was this for however many.
I know.
You think of Steve Nash, who was just handed a head coaching job.
True.
Because he played basketball. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking too much soccer. Let's get him back into basketball. We have to be careful when we're she was only on this, bench for. Because then I saw the Mississippi State head coach made some comments about how she could be a leader of men.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, more names in the running there. I'm kind of with you of we've been talking about Becky Hammon for so long. It seems like that you want her to. She's already been the first of everything else. Let her be the one to do it. But yeah, I'd be happy for any female to get that chance.
I would still be happy for any female to get that chance, but God, and I assumed, and you know what they say, never assume. I just assumed it was going to be Becky. I still hope it's going to be Becky. God, I would just love to see it, but a little bit of a wake-up call with this billboard that it could be Kara Lawson, or as you mentioned, it could be the Mississippi State women's coach. So we will keep an eye on that story. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, which is always eye-opening and enlightening and entertaining. That is coming up. We'll also bring you this day in sports history, sports birthdays. Just after the top of the hour, we'll dive deep into the Dallas Cowboys, the NFL, and more with our resident Dallas Cowboys Rain Man, Tanner Carlson. We're with you till 9 o'clock this morning. If you want to dive in at any moment on the phone lines, you're welcome to do that. Phone number 800-707-9760. Don't forget, we're streaming live video on AM 1300 The Zone and Ticket 760's Facebook pages with portals to get to the video through YouTube, Twitch, and elsewhere. And first half hour of the 8 o'clock hour. In less than an hour, we're going to give away those Eric Clapton tickets. Eric Clapton coming to the Frank Irwin Center on September 15th. Lots going on. We appreciate your hanging out with us. She's Shannon, Dave Ayler making the show go. I'm Chris. It's the Chris Duel Show. DVA Mechanics, welcome in on Twitch. All right, now I'm back to editing for a moment. Where was I on this? 101. All right. Let's see here. a classic. Clapton better play that one when he comes to the Frank Irwin Center.
You know, that riff is used in the I Did It DJ Khaled song.
No
With
kidding.
Salty that they've been using for the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, I got mixed emotions.
Here too.
When somebody samples I guess on one level, yes, it's the highest form of flattery when somebody samples a classic piece of music. And I imagine Eric Clapton gets royalties for that, but and I guess, DJ Khaled knows good music. So I shouldn't be a grumpy old man, right? And say, get off my lawn. Don't be using Eric Clapton's Layla.
Let it wash over you.
Let it wash.
We love Posty.
Woo. True.
He's the postman.
Woo. And I've told you, and I every time I hear Layla, I tell people that song was for Patty Boyd, who was the woman / I believe wife. I got to Google them. Were they married? She was the longtime woman of George Harrison, who was Eric Clapton's good friend, possibly best friend. And Eric had eyes for Patty, and apparently Patty had eyes for Eric. So Patty and Eric went to George and said, "Hey, man, we love you, George, but we got a thing going on." And George was like, "Oh, okay. If she wants you and you want her, you guys should be together." George was cool with it. and they all remained friends. His best friend continued to be Eric Clapton, who took his woman. And he still had a good relationship with Patty. And I don't know why. I guess Layla is more lyrical than Patty. If you're saying, "Patty, you got me on my knees, Patty," I guess Layla is more exotic of a name, I'm guessing. I don't know. No disrespect to anybody named Patty who's listening right now. I don't know. I don't know why Eric Clapton did it. I just like the song. Okay. Thank you, Shannon. I digress. All right. Coming up, how is the Salty Shakedown? You want to give us a preview? Is it extra salty on this Taco Tuesday?
Yeah.
Woo!
Salt with a little bit of sizzle, I'd say.
Salt and sizzle. I like it. Some salt and sizzle coming your way. Speaking of sizzle, he always sizzles. Tanner Carlson just after 8 o'clock. And speaking of Eric Clapton, that's when we're going to give away the tickets in the next segment, in the next half hour, sometime between 8 and 8:30, probably 8:20, but I wouldn't know. So just be listening. And we'll give away the Eric Clapton tickets all week. So multiple chances to win Eric Clapton tickets. The salty and sizzling Salty Shakedown is moments away. But first, some sports birthdays. And this day in sports history. And little preview, it's a big day in sports history if you're a Spurs fan. And I'm a Spurs fan. On this day in 1976, an Astros game was rained out. Now, that may seem weird. It is weird because the Astros played in the Houston Astrodome in 1976. How could an Astros game be rained out? Well, apparently there were heavy rains in the Houston area, made it very difficult for the visiting team and the umpires to get through the flooded streets of Houston on this day in 1976. So a game at the Astrodome was rained out. There you have it. On this day in 1977, the New York Mets traded Tom Seaver to the Cincinnati Reds for Pat Zachary. Tom Seaver was one of the greatest pitchers ever, and they traded him. A pox on you, New York Mets. On this day in 2001, NBA Finals, the Los Angeles Lakers defeated the Philadelphia 76ers 100-86 in game number 5 to close out the series. The Lakers won back-to-back titles. Your MVP was one Shaquille O'Neal. He won the MVP for the second straight season. Shaq, baby. Now, Spurs fans, this is why it gets good. This is why you need to remember June 15th. June 15th, 2003, NBA Finals. The San Antonio Spurs beat the New Jersey Nets 88-77 at the AT&T Center in game number 6 for the franchise's second title. They close out the Nets. Second ring for the Spurs. Your MVP is Tim Duncan. I was there at the AT&T Center that night. It was beautiful. Also, this day, June 15th, 2014, same day, Spurs do it again. Their most recent NBA title on this day, on this night in 2014, the NBA Finals. The Spurs beat LeBron James and the Miami Heat 104-87 in game number 5 of that series. It was the Spurs' 5th NBA championship. And Shannon, the most valuable player for the Spurs was Kawhi Leonard. I was happy that night. I liked him that night, Shannon. Don't like him so much anymore. Spurs fans win 2 titles on this day in 2003 and 2014, June 15th. A big day in Spurs history, a big day in sports history. That's sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1948, NFL head coach and executive, Super Bowl champion in 1996, coaching the Green Bay Packers. He would later be with the Seahawks and the Cleveland Browns. Happy birthday, Mike Holmgren. Born on this day in 1948 in San Francisco, California. And that's right, he was a Bill Walsh disciple originally and a quarterback whisperer. Born on this day in 1949, current Houston Astros manager Dusty Baker, who was an outfielder in baseball when he was a player, now a manager. He was a Major League Baseball All-Star in 1981 and 1982. He was the National League Manager of the Year in 93, 97, and 2000. Dusty Baker, born on this day in 1949 in Riverside, California. Born on this day in 1958, Red Sox and New York Yankees third baseman Wade Boggs. Wade Boggs was the American League batting champion from 1985 through 1988. Dude was good. Wade Boggs was born in Omaha, Nebraska, where the Longhorns will be on Sunday opening their play in the College World Series. See how everything ties together. And finally, born on this day in 1972, American golfer Justin Leonard. Justin Leonard, winner of the British Open in 1997. He won 12 PGA Tour titles. Justin Leonard, born this day in 1972 in Dallas, Texas. Justin Leonard, a Texan, so we like him even more. That's sports history. That's sports birthdays. Little extra salt this morning, little extra sizzle. Fasten your seatbelts. Take a deep breath. Chant your mantra, both hands on the wheel. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen, your Salty Shakedown.
The sports gods were looking down upon me yesterday, sir, because so many of these just fell into my lap, and I'm so happy they did. So let's talk about them now. Kicking things off today with Madden 22. We talked about it a couple weeks ago, how there's a lot of athletes that could be considered, and given that Aaron Rodgers was last year's MVP, he'd be a top candidate. However, his lack of attendance at Packers camp and just in Wisconsin in general, just, we don't know what's happening. So you don't know that you could be put on the front of a cover if you don't know what uniform you're wearing. Well, yesterday, EA Madden 22 tweeted out a video of the new game. They teased it. They teased it with former cover athlete Peyton Hills, who was featured along with 2 little goats. And then he picks up the phone, he calls someone, he says, they've done it again. So for the first time, it seems like since 2010, when both Troy Polamalu and Larry Fitzgerald were the cover athletes of Madden. That's right. 2 athletes, 1 cover. It looks like we're getting it again. And with the 2 baby goats as our hints, people are now guessing who they are. Well, photos are great evidence these days in the world of the internet. And people said that they saw Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady filming commercials for Madden earlier in April down in Florida, and that they are probably the GOATs. As we recall, leading up to the Super Bowl, Tom Brady was viewed as the GOAT and Patrick Mahomes viewed as the baby GOAT. So maybe that's where we're heading. It will all be revealed this week, June 17th, of the cover stars of the next version of Madden. Now, your thoughts on them taking this baby goat, to maybe mean Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes as the cover star? Because Patrick Mahomes, they've both been on the cover, but Patrick Mahomes was on the cover like 2 or 3 years. Like, it's been pretty recent. And here he is potentially getting another one.
A couple of things. First of all, brilliant. I saw the GOATs video and a brilliant tease by Madden 22. And yes, Tom Brady is the GOAT. I'm still a little sheepish about calling Patrick Mahomes a goat. And I know some people were saying, oh, look, that's a big goat, that's a baby goat. The goats looked about the same size to me. Yeah, one was slightly smaller than the other.
Big's goat,
so I don't necessarily, I mean, if you really wanted to do it, I would have gotten like an old and a much bigger goat and a smaller goat. I would have done that. And again, I always go back to Dan Marino when talking about Patrick Mahomes, and Marino went to a Super Bowl his rookie year. They didn't win it. 49ers beat the Dolphins, and everybody said, oh, Marino's going to be the GOAT. My God, he's going to go to so many Super Bowls, and he didn't. I'm a little, and I know I'm being picky here, but whatever. I'm a little hesitant to call Patrick Mahomes the GOAT. So therefore, could it be Aaron Rodgers? Could it be Brady and Rodgers? But is Rodgers a GOAT? I don't know.
Maybe they were just filming a commercial, because a lot of times, all those athletes are featured in the game. Maybe they're just part of a different commercial. Some of my thoughts were maybe a Manning, maybe both Manning.
Ooh.
Or maybe a Drew Brees, as he is now in the retirement world. But we shall see. Again, all will be revealed June 17th. All right, moving on to the world of soccer. We talked a little bit about the Euro 2020s, and Cristiano Ronaldo did a presser yesterday for that event, and he showed up and he sat down, and like at many press conferences, there is usually a drink sponsor, whether that is a water or a soda or an energy drink or a Gatorade or Powerade or something of that sort. Well, this so happens to be Coca-Cola, because he sat down and there were 2 Coke bottles on the table. He immediately dragged them out of his view and then lifted up a water bottle behind him and said, drink water. It blew up the internet, as this guy is promoting people to drink water. He's known, his body is a temple. Even Tom Brady retweeted the video saying, the vets seem to know, saying, because Tom Brady, again, he's all about his diet and regimen. However, fans did point out that Mr. I don't drink soda, Cristiano Ronaldo, has once before been the face of KFC in Arabia. So I don't know. I guess KFC good, soda bad. I don't really know how that adds up. But the video is hilarious. I wonder if there'll be any repercussions, because again, they're there because they're a paid advertisement. They're not there for him to drink.
Right.
And he could if he wanted to. They love it when the athletes and the people on the press podium do that. Most notably, Nick Saban, I think he is also always has a Coke at his podium, and he often takes sips of it there. They are a sponsor of Alabama football, but just very interesting to see him do that, it blow up, and then people throw the KFC thing back in his face. Did you see this, Chris?
I did not see it. I need to see it. I will go look at it during the break, but it's kind of obviously Cristiano Ronaldo is a brand himself.
Oh, yes.
But I mean, this is like sports 101. When someone's a big sponsor, you don't diss the sponsor. I find it a little, I mean, if I were one of the organizers, if I was from Coca-Cola, if I had to go out and get the Coca-Cola account as a sponsor, I'd be a little bummed out that, I mean, granted, you don't have to drink it if you're not into it, or you could also grab your water and not push the Cokes aside. It's a little weird.
Yeah. No word yet from Coca-Cola. I do remember, I think Pepsi might be or has been a FIFA sponsor, because I want to say during one of the World Cups, there was multiple players, including Messi, who were part of those Pepsi commercials. But no Cristiano Ronaldo. Don't put Coke in front of that guy. He will remove it and declare that you drink water. All right, finally, in the college football world, we're going to talk a little Michigan versus Ohio State, because as we know, they are huge rivals. However, Ohio State has had the upper hand. They've won the last 8 straight, 5 of which have come against Jim Harbaugh, as he is 0-5 against his rival, the Buckeyes. He did get that job at Michigan to bring some relevancy back to the program. He has done so, but he just can't get a win over his rivals. So it was revealed that inside the Michigan locker room, there is now a "What are you doing to beat Ohio State today" sign that is hung up there. And they also said within the facilities, there will be no red. No one can wear red. There will be no red. We will also not be drinking red Gatorade. They have declared this. They've made it so. The only issue is a day after this declaration, a 2022 quarterback recruit showed up wearing not like a pair of shoes with a little bit of red, but like red shoes, like the whole thing are red. And he's on the field, like going through the motions of a live action game. And all you see is like the bright red shoes. So it kind of came back to bite him in the butt there a little bit. I'm sure Buckeye fans are enjoying that this morning. But do you think this will try and last through the whole season? I mean, red is a popular color. I mean, I guess if you're being issued all of that Michigan State gear, or excuse me, Michigan gear for the Wolverines, that'd be a little easier to avoid. But I mean, not even red Gatorade. That's a good flavor of Gatorade.
It is a good flavor, but I do like it. I do. I mean, this is a great rivalry. Obviously, Michigan has been on the losing end a lot in the Jim Harbaugh era. Regarding the quarterback recruit who showed up with red shoes, somebody in the equipment room, duct tape is everywhere. Somebody should have put duct tape on those shoes and said, dude, you can come out on the field, but you can't wear the red shoes.
How the memo did.
Yeah, I like it. Granted, it's too bad they can't drink red Gatorade, but that entire team and that entire campus needs to beat Ohio State, and they need to fuel their angst and their rivalry and their disdain for Ohio State. I think it's cool. I think it's innovative. I like it a lot.
And this year's matchup, 2 years in the making, as the teams did not meet this past season because of COVID. Part of why, Michigan would say why Ohio State was 5-0 and not 5-1, because they didn't get to meet up. So we shall see if this new way of doing things for them gets the job done. There you have it. Today's salty and sizzling shakedown.
Jim Harbaugh, I kind of like him. He's a madman, obviously, but I think he's good for football. I think he's especially good for college football. I think he's especially good at his alma mater, but as you document, Shannon, has not beaten Ohio State, has not had a good record against really good teams while coach of the Wolverines. Do you like Harbaugh? Are you tired of his shtick? What do you think of Harbaugh?
He's fine. I don't know how much longer he has. I mean, you think of here at Texas on the 40 acres. I mean, Karen Aston gets ousted because she can't beat Baylor. And then you look at Tom Herman and Charlie Strong's record against OU. Beating your rivals is a huge part of being a head coach for a program, because a lot of the fans say, we could have the worst season of Texas football ever, but if we go up to Dallas and we beat OU, even if OU is also having the worst season ever, if we're the worst two teams on the planet, if we still beat OU, then it's, it's considered somewhat of a success.
Yeah.
It just goes to show how deep rivalries can run, especially in college sports. So he's got to get it done.
Totally get it.
This is his year. If he doesn't get it done, I think we may have seen the last of Jim Harbaugh at Michigan.
Absolutely. Go Harbaugh. Come on, man. Get it done. I want to see you get it done. I want to see you thrive at your alma mater, Michigan. Coming up, we'll talk some Dallas Cowboys and more. Tanner Carlson, our resident Dallas Cowboys freak, goes deep into the Cowboys. We'll talk more in the NFL as well. Lots coming up. Oh, Eric Clapton tickets in the next half hour. Don't go anywhere. She's Shannon Salty Sweeney, Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist. I'm Chris, with you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Woo! Woo! Got to finish this email. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to go get more iced tea because it's caffeinated. I'll be back. All right, now let's see. That's interesting. Let's try one more time. There it is. Welcome in, sir. How are you doing?
Good.
Anything specifically on your radar?
We can talk college football playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
We can talk
I'm trying to, I didn't look at it yet.
college athletes getting paid in Texas.
Okay.
Or being the Abbott signed a law allowing them to use their name and likeness to get endorsements and stuff.
I got a story from The Athletic. John Machado, the 5 standouts from OTA and minicamp, who he thought looked the best. He's got Leighton Vander Esch at number 5, Ezekiel Elliott at number 4, Micah Parsons at 3, Dak Prescott at 2, and CeeDee Lamb at 1. If all those guys looked good, and CeeDee Lamb looking the best according to him. That's kind of interesting. So, okay, so one more time on what you had.
College football playoff.
Okay.
Possibilities, and then Abbott signing law that Texas college athletes can get paid using their name and likeness, and kind of just what that means for Texas recruiting and stuff like that. What that actually means. Some people may think, oh, they're going to pay them to play football and basically professional sports now.
So retroactively, Johnny Manziel's autograph sessions, signing 30,000 autographs for whatever.
Right.
Dave Ayler in here on Facebook. Axel Miller says, I need my 2 favorite college football teams to smash their rivals, Texas and the University of Michigan.
And I don't know a whole lot about I don't follow baseball, college baseball.
Okay.
But we can shout out Texas, and I'm going to actually start kind of paying attention to them now.
Yeah, that game is Sunday, Mississippi State versus Texas.
We might see a Dak Prescott sighting, maybe.
That's right.
It's possible.
Would he make the trip to Omaha? That's a great question. And with Arkansas out, Texas, the highest current seed in Omaha.
Right. So, like I said, I'll start paying attention now, but I have not paid attention at all leading up to this point.
Yeah, I haven't paid a lot, but now I will too.
Yeah.
We have a quadrant. We got all 4. A quad. Foam foot, I believe Mike Taylor will make it, but we don't know for sure.
Now, Chris Duel.
It is Taco Tuesday. Do your duty. Go find some tacos. Consume them. Feel good about them. Ingest them. Become one with the tacos, and you shall be happy. I think tacos could solve world peace. You know, I know President Biden is meeting with Vladimir Putin tomorrow, and Biden should just bring tacos. How do you feel bad when there are tacos involved? I'm just saying. It's the Chris Duel Show, along with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, Dave Ayler making the show go. Coming up this half hour, we're going to give away another pair of tickets to go see Mr. Eric Clapton as he comes to the Frank Irwin Center. We love grabbing Tanner Carlson. He is the Eric Clapton of football analysis. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds good.
Is that a good thing?
I think it's a good thing.
Okay, all
Clapton is a prolific guitar man.
Yeah.
So if you are as prolific with your football analysis as Eric Clapton is with his guitar, then you'd be pretty darn amazing.
Yeah,
and you are.
Yeah, I think
So-
that makes, you know what? I'll take it as a compliment. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
Very, very cool. So you walked in the door. I said, what's on your mind in the world of football? One of the things that is on your mind, and I'm amazed at how quickly this has now become a thing.
Yeah.
College football powers that be open to talking about, and those who follow college football closely say it's coming, a 12-team playoff. We're at 4 now. Let's don't even talk about 8. Let's just go right beyond 8 and right to 12.
Yeah.
And Shannon and I have talked about this, Tanner, and I say it all the time, and I think Shannon agrees. More football is good football.
Yep.
Therefore, I think this is a transitive property for you math fans. Therefore, more college football, playoff football is good college football, playoff football. I'm all for it. Give me more. I don't want to wait 2 years, but apparently we have to. How do you feel about it?
No, I don't think there is a bad deal. I don't think you cannot convince me that anything about this is going to be negative. More football is good football, yes, but literally in every single stage and every level of football being played, whether that be peewee, middle school, high school, FCS, whatever, to the NFL, other than the one little spot that we see in the FBS college football Division I, has an extensive playoff system to where they play multiple playoff games to get to the championship game. And everyone makes it seem as like, is this some big deal, some revelation that college football is going to have an actual playoff? I've been calling it the play-in, the college football play-in, because having one game to get to the championship is not a play-off, it's a play-in.
It's a good point.
So, yeah, it's never been a playoff system in college football anyway at this level. So it makes zero sense to not have an actual playoff to where multiple teams, 12 teams, have an opportunity to make a championship game.
And can we agree, Shannon, that the reason we only have 4, and before this we didn't even have the 4, you had a national championship game, it is the money-grubbing dirtbags who run these college bowl games that may, and I shouldn't say money-grubbing dirtbags. I know some of them, and they're really good people, and they do good things for the community and for kids, so they're not all that way, but I'm in a mood. I'm cranky, and I didn't sleep much yesterday. But it's these bowl games, and all the bowl games make a ton of money, and nobody wants to give up their piece of the pie. And I just think, Shannon, we can have both worlds. Can't we make some of these? Can't we turn? And I know home teams are going to play at least in these first round of the playoffs for the 8 teams that are not in the top 4. But I think we can still have bowl games. We can have playoffs and keep everybody happy. What do you think, Shannon?
I think we're getting a playoff expansion similar to the reason why we got the playoffs to begin with, taking away the BCS, because no one liked those computer rankings. No one liked when there was that kind of 3-way tie between Texas, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech, and Texas ultimately didn't get the bid for the national championship game. It takes away the computer and allows the human eye to make those decisions, and then allows for those teams that are on the cusp to get the shot to play what's considered the best teams in the country. And so now you're allowing that with 12 teams to, if you're the best of your conference, okay, come be the best in the NCAA, and here's your shot to do it. I love it. Everything's a money grab these days anyway, and especially when you're going to start having to pay players. I think players are going to love it more too, because now you have more chances to be called, a playoff player, rather than, I was, well, we were ranked 5th in the nation. Okay, well, we were ranked 5th in the nation, and I got to play in the playoffs at X Bowl Y Bowl, Z Bowl, whatever. And so I definitely a money grab, but I wouldn't say that that's the leading cause for all of this.
Well, and I don't see a scenario to where they're not going to be making more money with more playoff games.
Yeah.
But here's my thing is how many other outside of the big bowl games, obviously you're going to have the Rose Bowl, the New Year's 6 bowl games. Other than those games, outside of that, how many college football fans are actually watching all of the other bowl games? When was the last time you watched the Poinsettia Bowl? When did you watch the Belk Bowl or whatever Yankee Stadium Bowl that they have in early December? I don't remember ever watching the Potato Bowl. Like I don't watch those games, so I don't think ratings are going to play a factor in any of these games. And if anything, it gets more people more involved watching other teams play. And if we're gonna stop, the biggest complaint right now in bowl season is that these college kids don't play in the game. Well, make more games matter. Make the Belk Bowl matter. Make the Potato Bowl matter.
When it comes to making games matter, by expanding it, it makes the rest of the regular season matter, because so many teams with just 4 teams going in, it was like one and done. You lose one, you're out of the conversation. Now we could see teams with even 2 losses on their record get into the playoffs. And so games, it's not necessarily the bowls that are mattering more or less, but the season as a whole, right? Up until that last game, teams are considered in it.
Yeah.
And so that keeps both the teams engaged and the fans engaged. And I think when you have, these players that were even opting out of New Year's 6 bowls because they weren't the playoffs, well, now you've got 12 teams where there's a good chance that those players are now going to be playing in their playoff games.
And that's the best thing, is that you have the best 15 teams in the country. I know it's 12, but the best 15 teams in the country, you want those teams' best players to be on the field playing.
Yeah.
When the majority of America is off work for New Year's or New Year's Eve or Christmas or whatever, you want a viable product to be on the television for fans to watch those games. And you don't want, if I'm going to watch Iowa State play a bowl game, the sole reason I'm going to watch them play their bowl game is because they probably have a really good quarterback or a really good running back. And if one of those 2 guys or both of those guys aren't playing to play at the next level, then why am I watching that game in the first place? So I think it's a win-win-win-win-win in every aspect of this. You can throw any scenario you want as a quote unquote negative, and I can rebuke it and make it a positive in this light, because I don't see any negatives of extending the college football playoffs.
And the other thing I would like to see, and hopefully this now will enable it to happen with these 12 teams going into a playoff situation, is I think if you're a Division I college football team and you go undefeated, whether you're USF or North Texas State or UTSA, if you win, you're a Division I program and you win all the games in front of you, you should have an opportunity
of course
to participate. It's like the NCAA basketball tournament. You should have the opportunity to compete. Obviously, we won't expect you to win it, but nobody ever expected a 16 seed to beat a 1 seed either. And after years and years and years and years, it finally did happen. I just think we love football, and wherever you are, if you're at Appalachian State and you win all your damn games, and how often is it going to happen? And it's never more than 2 or 3 of these non-Power 5 teams out there that do go undefeated.
This year,
they should have a chance.
You'd have only had Coastal Carolina and I believe Cincinnati as the only Power 5 conference team, non-Power 5 conference team that would have been even qualifying for it.
And they should have been in.
8.
Yeah. So there's no reason why those teams shouldn't be given an opportunity, because what's the point in going undefeated throughout the regular season if you're not going to have an opportunity to play for a national championship? If the best your team can possibly achieve, going undefeated and beating every single team on your schedule, and the best you can possibly do is win the Sugar Bowl against Georgia.
Yep.
Why am I out here playing and busting my butt every single day?
That goes for recruiting for all of these schools.
Right.
Yeah.
That changes the game for them to say you have a shot every year.
Yeah. And that could possibly take away and give these smaller schools an opportunity to compete with some of these larger programs in recruiting when it comes to interstate recruiting.
Agree. Absolutely agree. Coming up in just a few minutes, your shot at Eric Clapton tickets. Another issue, and in fact, you've been covering this issue during your reporting work at 1200 WOAI in San Antonio, Tanner. Governor Greg Abbott making it official. If you're a college athlete in the great state of Texas, you can now make money off your name and likeness.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that I think is long overdue, and
Right.
you got no gripe from me on this one.
No, and I'm with you 100%. And I want to clarify something. Some people may hear this and be like, "Oh, they're paying players to play sports. And, amateurism is out the window. They just make them professional athletes now." That's not. They're not paying them to play sports at their school. They're allowing these players to market themselves outside of football, but using football to gain their popularity or whatever. Say you're Tim Tebow, you're the most popular athlete to ever play college football at his time there. But if he went off and started a Twitch streaming service or a podcast, there's no money. He could not get a single dime of that. So they're allowing these players to use their popularity, to use the stage that they have to make money elsewhere and within endorsements. Or say Nike wants to sponsor Sam Ellinger. He can go do a commercial for them as long as it has nothing to do with the University of Texas and it has everything to do with him being a football player or him being the popular guy that he is. They can do a little endorsement with him and he can go get paid for it. And that should always have been the case. That makes it's never made any sense. There's no reason why an art student who happens to play volleyball sells her art online and gets paid for it, but then now she's no longer eligible to play volleyball. It makes zero sense. So they're now allowed to do that.
And Shannon, I would imagine you are a big TikTok and social media person in this era of social media where some people blow up.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's inevitable. There's going to be some player who's going to have a social media presence that people fall in love with that's going to find a way to make a ton of money now that they're allowed to do this.
Yeah, I come across athletes from Texas and other Texas schools all the time when I'm scrolling through TikTok, and then I look to see what their following is, and they have thousands of followers, some even hundreds of thousands, and that'll be something that they'll be able to monetize, because a lot of times it's, sometimes they're wearing their gear, but if they, are contracted to, I don't know, get Bang Energy is a thing that like so many people on TikTok advertise. I've never had it. Don't know what it is. Don't know what it tastes like, but they seem to be throwing money at anybody who has any sort of following on TikTok. And that would be a great, opportunity for them to be able to make that money on the side. Especially we have to remember, like, not all these kids who are athletes are on scholarship.
Right. I mean, it's a good point to make. And also, a lot of these athletes, they're not going to make it to the next level. They're not going to be professional athletes. They're doing this right now, and it is a great thing that they have even if it's a partial scholarship to play for whatever team that they're playing for or whatever sport that they're playing. But their college athletic careers are going to be over sooner than maybe even their social media presence. And they could start a YouTube page and get paid a lot more money doing that than they would ever, contributing the millions of dollars they're contributing to the school by playing the sport that they're playing.
It's going to take a quick time out for just a moment. It is 8:20, and we did this yesterday at this time, so we're going to do it today at this time. We're going to give away the tickets all week. Eric Clapton is coming to the Frank Irwin Center. And Shannon Salty Sweeney, I think he's going to be with Jimmy Vaughn. What caller should we take at 800-707-9760 to get these tickets?
I'm going to make you work for it a little more today. Caller 8. 707-9760.
Caller number 8 gets the Eric Clapton tickets. Good luck. If you don't get them today, you get another shot Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We will give these tickets away as well. I noticed, since we have you in here, Tanner, you're a big Dallas Cowboys guy. I saw a story in The Athletic by John Machada, who covers the Cowboys for The Athletic, and he was at Cowboys. He was at rookie minicamp, and he was at the OTAs, and he was just watching who was looking very, very good, and he came out, and he describes it in the article, but his list of the top 5 Dallas Cowboys standouts in either minicamp and or OTAs. I'll give you the list and just get your thoughts. Number 5, Leighton Vander Esch, he thought looked great. He ranks as number 4 Ezekiel Elliott. Thank goodness that he wasn't low-key faded bro throughout OTAs. Number 3, Micah Parsons, the rookie linebacker, much is expected of him. Number 2, Dak Prescott. Thank goodness, according to Machado, looked very, very good in OTAs. And ranked at number 1, wide receiver CD Lamb. These are all big names, and some of whom, you've got Dak coming off of an injury. You got Leighton Vander Esch with injury issues. We've talked about him a lot. And you've got Zeke, who I think is an underachiever. I'd like to see him achieve a little bit more. Your thoughts on how these guys who looked, according to a reporter, very good in OTAs?
No, it's very good to see that Vander Esch is on that list, because I think he's kind of been that guy who's on a short leash when it comes to his injury history. And as long as he's healthy, I don't think fans have an issue with Vander Esch. It's just if he can stay on the field. I don't think anybody questions his talent or his potential to be a star player in this league or one of the best players on our defense, nonetheless the team. And so seeing him play well, I also read a report that Dan Quinn said Vander Esch is a man on a mission, and that his focus has been just laser focused on studying film, on learning the defense, and being prepared for this season, not only mentally, but physically as well. So that's definitely a good sign. And then obviously everyone who questioned the Micah Parsons pick maybe wanted everybody to go, or wanted the team to go in a different direction. It's good to see that he's on that list as well, making big plays as a rookie. And just kind of taking his first baby steps into an offseason program. But the name that sticks out to me, obviously my guy, CD Lamb. I think he's going to be Dak's number 1 option this year. I think he takes that premier wide receiver step, that role this year. I think we're seeing Pro Bowl aspirations. I think he's a possible all-pro type talent. And he I think he is going to kind of take over as the security blanket for Dak. If it's, the underneath routes, it may not be the long ball every time, but it's going to be the short, safe routes. Get him into open space, let him do all the work. But I think CeeDee Lamb becomes the number 1 wide receiver over Amari Cooper this year.
And you mentioned Amari Cooper, and I've brought it up a lot, and it's true. Amari Cooper, at least last season, seemed to disappear in road games for all the money they're paying for Amari Cooper. If CeeDee Lamb emerges and becomes the number 1 Cowboys wide receiver, do you think, especially at that price tag, Amari Cooper becomes expendable?
Well, if that's the case, you're going to have a tough time moving him, because if you're paying a guy number 1 receiver money and then he's no longer your number 1, who else is going to pay him that money? So you might be stuck there. And I like Cooper. I don't have an issue with Cooper. I think, the fact that he was 1,000-yard wide receiver with 4 starting quarterbacks throughout the season, one was Ben DiNucci. So that's actually impressive in its own right. So, I think that I don't mind Amari Cooper. I really don't. I just think CeeDee Lamb is going to be that guy. I think he's a DeAndre Hopkins type talent, and Cooper's just not that guy. That doesn't mean he's not going to be a good player, but I just think CeeDee Lamb is going to step up and be that number 1 guy for Dak Prescott. And, expendable. I don't know if you want to get rid of Cooper. I think wide receiver talent is hard to come by, and I think it's valuable in the league. And at this day and age, it's no longer you need a 1-2 punch, you need a 1-2-3 punch, and that's what Dallas has, and including the running backs and including the tight ends. I think you want as many weapons as you can have sticking around, and if Cooper is going to give you a 2-touchdown, 100-yard receiving game once every 5 weeks, I think you take it and you live with it, and you're okay with that because you've got other guys that can do other things for you.
Hopefully Cooper does that, and hopefully all the Cowboys wide receivers and that high-octane offense delivers the goods, as we are hoping they will this coming season. Tanner Carlson, a great follow on Twitter, at Tanner Carlson 20. Thank you, sir. Always outstanding.
Always, yeah. Are we doing a U.S. Open
Oh,
draft?
my God, you're right.
Are we doing a draft? I need to know before Thursday. I need to prepare myself.
Yes, sir. We're going to do it on
Okay.
Thursday.
All right.
We got to involve Andy Everett, and we will do a U.S. Open draft.
I just need to be ready to kick y'all's butt this
the
go around.
defending champion is
Yeah.
Bryson DeChambeau, the guy I always draft. Maybe you will jump ahead of me to try to grab Bryson DeChambeau this time.
Maybe I've got an interesting pairing in mind already. I've already been thinking about it.
Got to be Koepka and DeChambeau.
Yeah, maybe.
It has to be. And NBC, please give that to us
No
for the
kidding.
weekend.
Oh,
For the
that would
love
be-
of
That
God.
would be fantastic.
Please.
Well,
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tanner. Before we go to break, Dave Ayler, do we have a winner in the Eric Clapton ticket?
Gabe Upton.
First name?
Gabe
Upton.
And he said that Clapton was his first concert when he was in junior high.
Oh my God.
So
How cool.
gets to go see him again.
Gabe Upton, I'm glad you won these tickets, man. Your first junior high concert was Clapton. You're going to go see Clapton on September 15th at the Frank Irwin Center. If you didn't win, if you're not Gabe Upton, you got a shot tomorrow and on Thursday and Friday. We're going to give away Clapton tickets all week long. Coming up, NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball. Astros will be back in action tonight. Astros taking on the Rangers, a short two-game series at Minute Maid Park. We will get you up to date on everything you need to know for your Sports Tuesday, a Taco Tuesday. With you till 9 o'clock, she's Shannon Salty Sweeney. Dave Ayler, your soundscape stylist. I'm Chris. It's the Chris Duel Show. Wow, Eric, I'm sorry about that. Eric Winchester said you hung up on him 2 days in a row for Clapton tickets. He says he's very, very hurt. He said, keep trying, Eric. Hopefully you'll win tomorrow, Thursday, or Friday. All right, let me see if I've done what I need to do here. Sent those 2 emails, done. John Williams, I see the photo you sent me. Looks like a delicious breakfast. I am extra tired today. I told you about filling in for Mike Taylor yesterday. And I didn't know that was going to happen until it happened. Well, I got the text in the morning, mid-morning, and I had taken my car to get a mirror repaired at R&R Auto Glass, and they rock, by the way. Fixed it fast. So I did not get a nap yesterday, so I'm extra sleep deprived. And it's hitting me now. Can you tell me how long till we're back? 4.5. Okay, cool. I'll be right back. VIP, do you get food with that? It's a good question. All right, I'll be right back. I'll be back. Says Arnold Schwarzenegger. Here we go. Woo! Woo! A little more Clapton coming at you. A lot of Eric Clapton coming at you at the Frank Irwin Center on September 15th. Congratulations once again to Gabe. We will be giving away more tickets throughout the week, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. It's the Chris Duel Show, along with Shannon Salty Sweeney. And Shannon, I know this is Taco Tuesday. And gosh, as soon as I said that, I was gonna talk about a story, and it went away from me on Facebook, on the internet. Did you hear about the Olympian? And it's not a taco, but it's a burrito who tested had a dirty drug test come back, and she said she thinks it came from a burrito that she ate.
I didn't see that. That's got to be one of the more ridiculous things out there. Yeah. Where are you getting your burritos from?
That's a good question. Now, I
you dare say a gas station. Those have some of the best tacos and burritos. So
I have the site back. Yes, this is at TMZsports.com. They posted it this morning. Olympian Shelby Houlihan had a positive steroid test. It was a steroid test, and she blames it on a pork burrito. She is an American, 28-year-old American. She is arguably the best female runner. She is insisting she is not a cheater despite a positive steroid test. She is claiming it's a mix-up caused by a pork burrito. A likely story. She's been hit, with a 4-year suspension for that positive steroid test. She said she got the pork burrito from, quote, an authentic Mexican food truck in Oregon several months ago. She left a detailed, and gosh, I'll have to read this after the show, but many, many paragraphs, a detailed statement on her Instagram account.
Is she related to Bob Baffert in any way?
That's a great question. And if not, and now that she's suspended for 4 years from competing in track and field, maybe she can go get a gig with Bob Baffert.
Is the burrito the only thing you ate that day? How do you know it happened that day? How do you know that that's when it got into your system? If you don't know when it got into your system, did you not eat anything else? Have you never had food truck food before? Why are you trying to ruin this what sounds like a good, small, well-owned business?
Exactly. And I didn't realize this. She's serious. She owns the U.S. record in the 1,500 and the 5,000 meter run. She's now barred from competing in the Tokyo Olympics. Again, her name's Shelby Houlihan, 28 years old. God love Shelby. Shannon, I'm not, and I don't mean to be a cynic, but I'm not buying the pork burrito excuse for your positive steroid test.
I mean, it sucks for her because, that's 2021. If this was 2020, 4-year ban, then maybe she's able to squeak into the 2024 Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
But now that'll come and go while she's still banned.
And I mean, if she's right and it was a pork burrito, then God, that's one heck of a burrito.
I mean, I don't understand. Have there been steroids found in burritos before?
Not that I'm aware of.
Here, I want my burrito with, instead of like tomatillo, give me steroids. Or is the pork infused with steroids? Maybe the pig that the pork was from was on steroids. I mean, there are so many questions that she's not providing me with answers.
Yeah, here's just a little couple of lines from her Instagram statement, which is very lengthy. I'll just read you a little moment of it. In the following 5 days after being notified that I tested positive, I put together a food log of everything that I consumed the week of that December 15th test. We concluded that the most likely explanation was a burrito purchased and consumed approximately 10 hours before that drug test from an authentic Mexican food truck. What, as opposed to an inauthentic Mexican food truck?
Okay, so it also says that it's been long understood by the World Anti-Doping Agency that eating pork can lead to a false positive.
Ooh.
So I guess if Was she not aware of that beforehand? Because if you know that, wouldn't you opt to not eat pork to avoid all of this prior to being drug tested?
You would
Also,
think
if
so.
you're a track star, I know you're like carb loading and you're skinny, whatever, but eating a pork burrito just doesn't.
That doesn't sound
that
like
doesn't add up.
what a track and field Olympian would eat.
Yeah.
And again, if
And I don't know her, but
I don't know her either. If we're wrong and Shelby Houlihan is right and the pork burrito caused the false positive, and if she is a great Olympian, and apparently she is, she holds the U.S. record in the 1,500 and the 5,000 meter dash. Should when you test positive, in case there's a false positive, don't you get another test? I wonder. That just seems odd to me.
she passed a lie detector test. Or I guess it said, did you willingly or knowingly
All right.
take?
So there's
steroids?
that. Maybe we're wrong. Maybe it's the pork burrito.
Maybe Valco is selling burritos now.
Balco. Nice reference. The Balco reference. That goes way back.
I think like for the U.S., because obviously you go there and you're representing your country, and in the last couple of years, we've seen Russia be banned from the Olympics and events because of doping, right? And so the U.S., which is filled with grade A level athletes, why risk having that narrative hang over you if you have someone else who is just as good? Probably, right? Because that's going to be the story and what everyone points to if she performs well at the Olympics. But what about that? That's the country doesn't want it.
Gosh. And no matter what, she's 28. She was targeting the Tokyo Olympics last year, of course. With COVID, they were postponed for a year. I mean, whether or not she's guilty of steroids, and she consists, and as you mentioned, Shannon, she passed a lie detector test. So she's banging the drum, making the case, a long extended manifesto on Instagram saying she didn't do it. The pork burrito did it. I mean, her life completely changed. And, the thing she did better than anybody else, a record holder, and now she's not going to compete in the Olympics, and apparently a 4-year ban, which would take her to age 32, which I'm guessing, as you mentioned, you look at, the prime of a track and field athlete, she'll be on the wrong side of 30 in 4 years. So, wow, turning her life upside down one way or another.
Yeah, I think her athletic career may effectively be over with at this point in time, all because of a pork burrito. That's going to be my excuse for everything.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Can't make it to the party, got to eat a pork burrito.
Exactly. If there's ever an issue.
Party, I just ate a pork burrito, if you know what I'm saying.
In fact, I think that's why Mike Taylor missed the show yesterday. I think he had a pork burrito. So, yeah.
Also from Oregon.
Ooh, that's right. He was in Portland.
That's got to be it. Were we sure that we're connecting the dots now, people?
Yep. What the hell is going on in Oregon? That's all I'm saying. Okay. And by the way, Becky Hammon interviewing with the Portland Trailblazers coming up. I do want to mention this. Speaking of women athletes, and in a certain way, this story I know this will sound weird, but this story kind of warms my heart. Ex-WNBA superstar Shoni Schimmel has been arrested, charged with felony assault and criminal mischief. She's 29 years old, a two-time WNBA All-Star, a former number 8 overall pick, arrested following an allegedly violent incident in Oregon yesterday. She is currently behind bars, felony charges of assault and criminal mischief, as well as misdemeanor charges of menacing, recklessly endangering another, harassment, and I don't like this one, domestic abuse. All right, you lost me on domestic abuse. Jail records show that Schimmel was booked at 1 a.m. Her bail was set at $48,750. The reason it warms my heart, Shannon, usually you hear, if I told you an athlete, a former pro player, was arrested on felony assault and criminal mischief, you'd have said, that's definitely a dude. Mm-hmm. It's usually a guy, a former or a current male athlete doing this. It's nice to see the ladies, sisters, are doing it for themselves. It's nice to see, finally, you never hear of a female athlete getting in this level of trouble with the law. So at least now we can point to and remember the name Shoni Schimmel as a violent perpetrator.
What is with Oregon?
Oregon. Yeah.
They saw Florida down there in the corner of the U.S. and they're like, you know what? This northern corner needs some action. Let's be the Florida of the Northwest.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
And
Stay on the team.
I've never been to Portland, but I hear it is, you've got the Keep Austin Weird moniker. I hear Portland is out there.
Yeah,
I hear it's a little freaky in Portland.
people like to consider it a rival. I'm like, I don't have time to deal with that.
No.
Not my place, but
It's cold there. It rains all the time. Everybody's wearing flannel. I mean, come on.
I mean, I love a good flannel.
Yeah, I like flannel in the winter, but it's
There's
June.
summer
Yeah.
flannels.
Is there summer flannel?
You
Who would
ask
wear
me,
flannel in the
don't ask
summer?
my mom.
Okay.
If you ask me, because obviously I know fashion.
Speaking and again, just back to the Olympian for a moment. I heard this morning on the way in. We are 38 days away from the Tokyo Olympics.
So exciting! I've seen a lot
38
of
days.
videos of people getting really excited and anything they haven't agreed with as far as our country is concerned. That they're like, it all goes out the window when the Olympics come around. USA.
Yes.
There's just a pride that you get filled with when watching athletes from your country compete.
I totally agree. I
Great.
totally agree.
I love
And
it so much.
to me, and I've told you this, Shannon, one of my biggest excitements about this Olympics is Greg Popovich, coach of the Spurs, coaching Team USA in basketball. And at 38 days to go, I mean, I don't know, and I'm going to have to maybe research today and get back to you tomorrow on this, but the timetable for finalizing the roster for Team USA, I mean, we're 38 days out. It's like, who's going to Tokyo? Don't we need to make reservations and check your vaccinations? And I mean, shouldn't we know by now? Okay, it's Steph Curry. I understand if you're playing right now, if you're Kawhi, if you're Joel Embiid or whoever, I understand, your status may be up in the air until you see how deep into the playoffs you go. But gosh, we're coming down to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
well, especially the start of the Olympics, Friday, July 23rd. The Game 7 of the NBA Finals, should it go that far, will be July 22nd.
that's crazy. The next day.
So I guess you have to wait and see who would
Yeah.
make it, right? Because I don't think you'd then put some of those athletes on a plane
No.
to go over there.
No. And I mean, if you're Pop, would you want those players, as great as they are, if you can have other players who were not in the high intensity of the NBA Finals, just
Except you got to think that Giannis would go back to represent his country no matter what.
ooh, yeah.
Because who else are they going to have? I mean,
Yeah.
come on, you've got to have them.
Good point. Very, very good point. The Greek Freak. And again, tonight's the big one. I do believe if Milwaukee's going to have any chance to shock the world and take this series, Kyrie Irving and James Harden will be out for Brooklyn tonight. That game is the only playoff game tonight, 7:30 on TNT. Brooklyn, Milwaukee. Go Bucks. I still pull for Coach Mike Budenholzer and those Milwaukee Bucks. Assistant coach Chad Forcier, former Spurs assistant. Bryn Forbes, former Spur on that Milwaukee roster. Speaking of the Eastern Conference of the NBA, our poll question today, Shannon, which team, both semifinals are tied 2-2. It's anybody's to take in each series. We pose the question, who of these four teams will represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals?
Milwaukee Bucks now leading the vote with 46%.
Oh my
Brooklyn,
God.
12%, and Philadelphia 13%. I wouldn't hate it if the Bucks made it,
They need it.
but I still think Brooklyn is in it.
Tonight will tell the tale in a big way. If Brooklyn loses tonight, they're going to have to win 2 in a row and 2 elimination games to survive. But Milwaukee, small market, much maligned. You and I and others talked about Coach Bud being on the hot seat after being down 0-2. it would be nice if they turned the whole darn thing around. So go Bucks. That's what I'm saying. Shannon, outstanding. It was not only salty, it was sizzling. Today's Salty Shakedown, outstanding as always.
Thank you, sir. You as well with your sizzling beef burritos.
Ooh, yeah,
Or pork burritos.
The
Sorry.
latest on beef burritos. And of course, you caught me lying to Mike Taylor today. So
I did.
yeah,
Yeah, it's on tape.
I know. I'm just a bad
Hit the
man.
podcast, y'all.
I'm a bad man. Yeah, earlier in the podcast, if you missed it, Shannon just busted me for being a liar. Dave Ayler, great job, sir, as always.
Thank you.
We'll do it again tomorrow. More shots at Clapton tickets. Our thanks to Tanner Carlson, the Tan Man. Enjoy your Taco Tuesday. Do your job and go find some tacos. You'll feel better. And just don't eat pork burritos. They can get you a positive steroid test. Hasta luego. See you tomorrow.